Today we are bringing the focus back on the PMO because various officers have been interrogated and statements have been recorded by the CBI. The most interesting part of this entire episode is that it is the CBI which reports to the PMO directly and it is investigating the PMO. So what kind of fair evaluation are we expecting from the officers who are reporting to the Prime Minister directly, and they are supposed to investigate the role of the PMO, and PM, who was the then Coal Minister, in the capacity of Coal Minister, we have seen how Mr. Gupta and several other officers have conducted themselves, especially in the circumstances when the coal block allocation happened without following any mandatory rules. The screening committee gave allocation to certain companies. What was the basis? Nobody knows. Rejected a few applications. What was the basis? Nobody knows. So no mandatory procedure was followed, either in selecting the companies or in refusing the allocation. And that is the strangest form of allocation one has ever seen. Plus, this is also, again, in the news that various files pertaining to this particular period between 2006 and 2009, files are not available. The sitting MP of the Congress party has also been investigated, and CBI has sent for his statement as well. Now, under these circumstances, a tainted Prime Minister has to step down. Specifically, this is the demand, that he has to step down so that there can be a fair investigation into the criminal offense conducted by his office. And a person who's tainted cannot be heading the very organization which is investigating his office. The second relevant case which is going on right now is Ishrat Jahan's case. And we all know what precisely is going on after years, calling an encounter as fake encounter. Now, encounters which happen in Gujarat, all are to be treated as fake encounters, whereas far higher numbers of encounters which have been happening across the country are correct encounters, and especially the Congress-ruled states, Andhra Pradesh, and several other states. These are the high numbers, Maharashtra. These are the states which have very, very high numbers of encounters. During this particular period, when these 8 encounters took place in the state of Gujarat, 880 encounters happened across the country, in which the highest number was from Uttar Pradesh, 89 or 85, and similarly in 80s only in Andhra Pradesh. Then came Maharashtra and several other states. Now, all those encounters are to be treated as true encounters, whereas 8 encounters of a known terrorist, in this case, Ishrat Jahan was a known terrorist, whose details were available on the Jamaat-ud-Dawa website, whose details were available from a newspaper in Lahore, and this particular affidavit, and David Headley, which of course NIA went back on the earlier statement. And the strangest thing is that what David Headley actually spoke about, because a connection was found between Jammu Kashmir, Pakistan, and this particular lady, Ishrat Jahan. There was a connection. There was a connection and communication which had been tracked. Now, what exactly David Headley has spoken, nobody knows. Earlier reports from across the country and outside the country did mention that Ishrat was an LET operator and David had knowledge about it. And subsequently, this particular knowledge and was brought out in the form of an affidavit, but subsequently NIA declined and changed tracks and said no such information is available. Now, what information is available? We don't even have that information. A simple denial has come. And especially in case of Jamaatu Dawa and several other such websites which have which have mentioned Ishrat as LET operative, after 3 years of them covering it as LET operative, after 3 years, they have gone back on their words. Because, and the reason is, if you see the timeline, the reason is very simple. Ishrat's mother filed a transfer petition. And when transfer petition was filed, an affidavit by the IB, by the Home Ministry was filed, in which all these things were annexed as the annexures to the affidavit. And because these annexures came forward and came as handy tool in the hands of the ministry, Home Ministry, the turnaround came from those websites that by mistake they mentioned her to be LET operative and they had no knowledge after 3 years of this remaining on their site. We again go back to the issue that in this case, like in several other cases, like in Coal Block, CBI is again being misused and manipulated by the central government. And we have seen how Supreme Court dealt with it when the affidavit was changed. Even in Ishrat's case, affidavit has been changed by the central agencies. Now, what precisely needs to be investigated, according to us, is on whose instructions the affidavits were changed. After all, government changes or the law officers change the affidavit is a record of this government also. One affidavit coming from IB is changed into another, and nobody is questioning that. This again makes us feel that CBI is a caged parrot, as the words of the Supreme Court go around, which has basically described how CBI has been misused and manipulated. From both cases, the coal scam and the Ishrat's case, it is very evident that the change in stance comes with the change of ministers. The affidavits get changed, the law gets flouted, and all to suit a political purpose. Now, if a government starts playing politics with the issues as serious as corruption and terrorism, then in that case, this government, which has failed completely, has no business to stay in the office. Because it is these very people who need to be investigated by these very agencies. And we have seen repeatedly that abuse, misuse of the system is what is basically causing damage to the entire governance structure of this country. And what happened in Uttarakhand, Himachal, and several other areas, including Delhi, also is a result of misgovernance. Because when such flash floods are affecting the lives and thousands of Hindu pilgrims are stranded, thousands have died, there is nothing called early warning system. And NDMA guidelines have been violated and have not been observed by this government. Our President, Mr. Rajnath Singh, has already instructed the BJP workers to come forward and help and carry on the rescue operations, relief measures, whatever way we can help. Because as per the state unit, the kind of devastation and destruction which is going on in Uttaranchal and Himachal is unbelievable. We are not even getting half the reports here in Delhi. And this should be declared as national calamity, and whatever, I mean, we are demanding that this should be declared as a national calamity. And whatever help can be extended, should be extended to our countrymen and people who are stranded in such situations at war footing. And everyone must get engaged in helping out the people and getting across to this disaster. And this disaster is no longer a disaster which is affecting the state, but this be declared as national calamity of covering various states. Thank you. Any questions? 880, yeah. These are NHRC figures. I will. Uh, you see, antecedents become very relevant because when, what is relevant in this case, and let me, a few things were left out. One, antecedent is relevant because when an encounter happens, somebody who's a normal citizen of the country gets killed, of course you can say was trapped, it was a police trap, etc., etc. But here is a known Lashkar operative. So first thing is accepting the fact. Now, if you accept that she was a Lashkar operative, then we go to the second step, whether it was fake or it was true. Now, who will decide it was fake or true, and who will come in evidence if not the IB? IB sent this report to the state unit. And after IB has sent this report, what business has CBI to question the IB? Because in such causes, especially the forces who are working undercover or otherwise, disclosing their trail or disclosing their sources, which takes years to build. I mean, you all are journalists. How much time does it take for a journalist to build its sources? It takes a long time to build your source because it's a question of trust. You're dealing with the trust factor and you're questioning the IB officials by another police agency. Is that not incorrect? That is the point. And who is, because Ishrat's mother is saying she was not an operative. She's not saying that she was an LET operative, you can't kill her. She's saying she was not an LET operative. Now, on her, there is a reopening of the case. That too by the CBI. Who changed the, when you are investigating, please investigate who changed the IB affidavit also. Let's investigate that as well. Who caused the change? Like in coal block we have seen, there have been changes in the affidavit. And Supreme Court took a note of that. Similarly, it is on record that IB affidavits have been changed in the court. Now who changed it? The officers can come and go, the agencies don't change their stand with the change of a particular minister or an official. Anybody else? She wasn't unarmed. She wasn't unarmed. I mean, first thing is, if we believe she was an LET operative, should we wait for what David Headley managed to do? Should we wait for that thing to happen? And when you are dealing with terrorists on such occasions, either you get killed or you kill. As simple as that. If somebody is shooting at you, it's at that moment. And this is a misconception that she was unarmed. What was she there for in the first place if she was unarmed? This was a well-hashed conspiracy. And the information came from some very responsible officers who work under the central government, by the way. IB doesn't report to the state government. They shared the information. Again, going back to NCTC. One is the intelligence agency, which collates and collects the intelligence input, and the other, for execution, passes it on to the state, so that the same agency does not become the Frankenstein. And this is exactly how this entire operation happened. Now, questioning the IB. If I go by simple logic that you are only questioning whether this was a fake encounter or true encounter, then two things you have to accept before coming to this point. One, she was an LET operator. Two, she was not unarmed because there was state report. Three, IB passed on the right input. If these three are correct, then encounter is also correct. And it does not become a fake encounter simply because it happens in the state of Gujarat. Whereas you will not question how many encounters happened in Andhra Pradesh or Maharashtra for that matter during the same period. No focus at all on those states because they happen to be ruled by the Congress party. Anybody else? Yeah. You see, we've already said, we've already spoken on this. Our stand is that it is a lapse on the part of the central government, because you can't have any other third-party intervention. You share the data only what I want to share with you. You can't have my password to collect my information. There may be nothing. At the same time, it's a breach of privacy. And that breach of privacy only the central government needs to take care of. Yes, please. 1 minute, please. Yeah. Can we restrict ourselves to the today's subject? Otherwise, the subject gets lost. I'll deal with this subsequently. Okay. Yeah. Same question. Yes, please. जी, वो नीतीश कुमार कांग्रेस के षड्यंत्र में फंसे हैं तो आज साबित हो गया। जिनके खिलाफ पूरी उम्र जब वो जॉर्ज फर्नांडिस का नाम ले लेकर बोलना बंद नहीं करते और उनकी आवाज़ थम नहीं जाती, तो वो भूल जाते कि जॉर्ज फर्नांडिस वो व्यक्ति थे जिन्होंने उम्र भर कांग्रेस का विरोध किया और एनडीए में शामिल हुए। तो कांग्रेस के षड्यंत्र में वो फंसे और आज विश्वास मत ने साबित कर दिया कि जिनके खिलाफ जीतकर इलेक्शन आप विधानसभा में आए, उन्हीं की सपोर्ट पर आपकी सरकार कायम है। तो आप तो घुटने टेक सकते हैं, अपनी गद्दी बचाने के लिए उन्होंने साबित किया है। Because we knew this is exactly, we've spoken what we had to speak. We know by breaking alliance and all kinds of permutation and combination, this government is going to stay. And we knew this precisely. So this is our opposition to the manner in which this particular government has taken it, charted its course. And as my friend asked me to repeat it in English, what I said in Hindi, that when Mr. Nitish Kumar doesn't stop reciting the name of Mr. George Fernandes, who for his entire life was opposing Congress party, after contesting elections against the Congress party, JDU has again shown its color in the present incarnation by being party to the conspiracy of the Congress party, because it is with the Congress support that they have actually come through in the assembly today. जी अभी तो कुछ ऐसा दिखाई नहीं दे रहा। खास तौर पे जो कांग्रेस पार्टी है, वो जब सेक्युलरिज्म का नारा प्रधानमंत्री देते हैं तो भूल जाते हैं कि जिस प्रदेश से वो आते हैं, आसाम जैसे प्रदेश से, जहाँ पर बांग्लादेशी घुसपैठियों ने घुसपैठ कर रखी है और लगातार भारत के अंदर भारत की सीमा पार करके घुसे जा रहे हैं, और उसके लिए उनके पास कोई तरकीब नहीं है उस सब को रोकने की और भारत देश की कुछ रक्षा करने की। तो वो क्या हमको सांप्रदायिक और असांप्रदायिक पर भाषण देंगे? ये तो खाली भ्रष्टाचार की गोंद है जो इनको इकट्ठे जोड़ के चिपका के रखे हुए हैं। इसका जवाब नीतीश कुमार ही दे सकते हैं। मैं तो खाली ये कह सकती हूँ कि वो हमारी पार्टी के अंदर कोई ऐसा नेता नहीं है और कोई ऐसा मुख्यमंत्री नहीं है जो कि सांप्रदायिक हो। सबके सब धर्मनिरपेक्ष सापेक्ष रूप से अपनी जनता के बीच में काम कर रहे हैं, सब धर्मों के लोगों को साथ लेके काम कर रहे हैं। तो शायद नीतीश कुमार हेलुसिनेट कर रहे हैं, पता नहीं किसका जिक्र कर रहे हैं, मुझे मालूम नहीं है। देखिए, जॉर्ज फर्नांडिस का कितना सम्मान उन्होंने किया वो हम सब जानते हैं। तो सम्मान असम्मान की बात वो ना करें तो बेहतर है, क्योंकि जब चेंज ऑफ गार्ड होता है, और इस केस के अंदर तो हमारी जो प्रथा है उसके मुताबिक बड़ी तरीके से जो है चीज़ों को सुलझाया गया है। असहमति जो है उसमें असम्मान की बात नहीं होती। असम्मान, किसी को सम्मान करना या नहीं करना अलग विषय है, और असहमति में सम्मान नहीं किया, जो है वो वापस उसी बात पर कि हेलुसिनेट कर रहे हैं, क्या कह रहे हैं क्या नहीं कह रहे, मेरी समझ के पीछे बाहर है. I am not saying that. I am saying whenever there can be differences of any sort. I can have a different opinion. Does not mean I become your enemy. You can question me. You can counter question me. I'll meet you again and say hello to you, and you can always say hello to me. I mean, that's okay. We can have difference of opinion. Difference of opinion is different from not respecting somebody. I can have difference of opinion with the people one may care the most. Difference of opinion किसी विषय पर ठीक है, उसको सुलझाने की क्षमता है या नहीं, उनमें तो वो भी नहीं है. आज तो भ्रष्टाचार की ग्लू के साथ चिपक गए, तो उसको क्या कहेंगे आप? I used the phrase in terms of JDU. When Mr. Nitish Kumar took over, he removed Mr. George Fernandez. I used it in that context. Now, every context need not be cut, paste, copy on every other occasion also. नहीं, ऐसा कुछ नहीं हुआ. बीजेपी ने अपना जो निर्णय लेने थे, जिस तरीके से लेने थे, जिस विषय पर लेने थे, वो लिए और समय अनुसार बाकी सब निर्णय भी लेगी. इसकी जानकारी सुशील मोदी जी देंगे आपको. जी. Syed Hafiz Saeed. Our party stand is of any patriotic Indian stand. That's exactly what we said. Anybody in India will question that money and would question this. I mean, I don't know who would not question. Everybody will question. And it's not whether you are in the government, you are opposing the government, you may have difference of opinion on various issues, but when it comes to the issue of terrorism, funding of terrorism, there can be no two opinions. There's only one opinion: condemn, condemn, condemn. And condemn from the core of our heart. This is unheard of, unthinkable, and somewhere in the beginning itself, we said we must tread with caution. When there was an invite to the PM to participate in the oath-taking ceremony, etc., etc., we at that time also said that it all sounds very great, but you need to tread with caution, especially when you're dealing with a country like Pakistan. You have to be cautious. And no bleeding hearts. मैंने बोला, मेरा जो सेकेंड सप्लीमेंट्री था वो उसी पर था, और उसमें कहा कि आज राजनाथ सिंह जी ने भी उत्तराखंड से ही अपने बयान में उन्होंने कहा है, और उन्होंने पूरे पार्टी के कार्यकर्ताओं को आदेश दिया है कि सब इस राहत काम में जुड़ें, चाहे वो पैसे के रूप में है, चाहे भोजन सामग्री के रूप में है, चाहे उनको जो स्टेट यूनिट है उसको कहा है कि घरों में रखने की बात है. जो भी ये एक प्राकृतिक आपदा है देश पर, और सबको मिलकर उसको काम करना है. बल्कि यही मांग, इसको राष्ट्रीय आपदा घोषित किया जाए, हम सरकार से मांग भी कर रहे हैं, और सब लोग एकजुट होकर उस पर काम करें. वो बयान आ चुका है. Couldn't agree more with you, because when it comes to issues of environment, whether it's Yamuna bed or Ganges bed, any stream, I think we have to discuss these things, and you can't control the nature. But the question is, once this has happened, I mean, one is a long term, one is the other is a short term. So first thing is rescue the people who are stranded, provide rehabilitation to those who have been devastated. And then, of course, long-term measures, when such things are happening in the country, you need to have a policy, and you need to have a correct policy on any riverbed. Construction should not be there. I mean, who can oppose it? No one can oppose it. नहीं, अब देखिए, वो जवाब दे दिया ना मैंने, वो उतना जवाब हो गया. अभी कि वो उसकी सहमति आज की स्थिति देखकर कौन देगा, कोई नहीं दे सकता, क्योंकि आप तो अपनी गलती का भुगतान कर ही रहे हैं, वो एक विषय है। लेकिन उसके अलावा और बहुत विषय हैं। जब डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट की बात आती है, एनडीएमए की गाइडलाइंस को किस तरीके से तोड़ा गया है वो इस सरकार से पूछिए आप। 2008 की गाइडलाइंस हैं, किस तरीके से जो अर्ली वार्निंग सिग्नल्स होते हैं वो नहीं बताए गए। नहीं, राजनीति विषय नहीं है, मैं इसीलिए कह रही हूँ कि उसको आप जो है राष्ट्रीय आपदा घोषित करें और सबको जो भी सम्मानपूर्वक आप। जी साहब, आपके प्रश्न का जवाब मैंने दे दिया था ना। अब जब मैंने रिवर बेड की बात की थी तो उसी संदर्भ में बात की थी। और मैंने जब कहा था कि किसी भी नदी का जो रिवर बेड है उस पर कंस्ट्रक्शन नहीं होना चाहिए, इस पे एक राष्ट्रीय पॉलिसी, एक सहमति तय होनी चाहिए और सब जगह पर इस विषय को गंभीरता से लिया जाना चाहिए, वो उनके प्रश्न के जवाब में मैं कह चुकी थी। थैंक लास्ट क्वेश्चन एंड यस, I'll come and speak to you. I'll come and speak to you. जी जी, नीतीश कुमार, आप सुनिए, मैंने ये कहा कि अपनी सरकार को बचाने के लिए आप जिस पार्टी के खिलाफ, जिस कांग्रेस के खिलाफ उम्र भर जब जॉर्ज फर्नांडिस का नाम याद करते हैं, लगातार नारे लगाते हैं, तो आप उसी भ्रष्टाचार के साथ जाके चिपक गए ना गोंद की तरह। तो गोंद क्या है? भ्रष्टाचार। क्योंकि आज आपको अगर विश्वास मत इस तरीके से तोड़ मरोड़ कर लेने की बजाय आपके अंदर हिम्मत थी तो लोगों के बीच में जाते ना, दोबारा इलेक्शन की बात करते। भ्रष्टाचार, ये भ्रष्टाचार एक ही भ्रष्टाचार होता है? भ्रष्टाचार के बहुत रूप होते हैं, मॉरल भ्रष्टाचार भी भ्रष्टाचार होता है। नहीं, वो देखिए, वो सब सवालों का जो लोकल जवाब है, ये जो उस एरिया से संबंधित है, वो सुशील कुमार मोदी जी से आप पूछिए। तो देखिए ना, उस आदमी की काबिलियत की बात कर रहे हैं ना, ये तो नीतीश खुद मान रहे हैं कि जिस समय वो इंजीनियरिंग पढ़ रहे थे उस समय मोदी जी किसी चाय की दुकान में बैठकर काम कर रहे थे। और किस तरीके से उस आदमी ने मेहनत करके जहां तक पहुंचे। कोई पुरखों की दी हुई तो जायदाद नहीं थी और ना आज है। तो उसको आप क्रेडिट मानते हैं, डिस्क्रेडिट मानते हैं? और उस चेहरे की, जो ओबीसी चेहरा है या अपर कास्ट चेहरा है, उस चेहरे की बात आज तक मोदी जी ने नहीं की है। उन्होंने अपने आप को मात्र भारत माता का सपूत बताया है और उसकी सेवा में पूरा जीवन संलग्न है, ऐसा कहा है। ना किसी जाति की बात की है, ना किसी धर्म की बात की है। So I'll talk to you. I'll talk about Tamil Nadu. I'm coming down. Thank you.